What's up, guys? Excited to have you back. This is episode 22, and today I'm going to dive right into one of my family's most favorite Chinese American dish, and that is beef and broccoli. The reason why I say American is because early Chinese immigrants did not have kailan available, and an easy substitute was the European style broccoli, the one that you and I know. So just to set the record straight, it is not a Chinese dish, it is more a Chinese American dish. So let's get to it, guys. This is going to be a good one. Alright guys, let's start first with our behind the scenes cast of characters. Soy sauce, Sesame Seed Oil, Shaoxing wine, corn starch, and baking soda. Now we line up our ingredients for our sauce. Once again, here is soy sauce. This is a Thai brand soy sauce with an orange cap. And just turning the bottle over just to show you that indeed it is black soy sauce, oyster sauce, and finally I used raw sugar. And for our aromatics, we want to dice garlic and ginger. Definitely do not skip out, guys, on your garlic and ginger. It's super critical to this dish. It just adds that extra depth of flavor that is so necessary to make this dish spot on good. Now let's prepare our meat. This here is just over 0.8 pounds of beef chuck tender. And I'm cutting with the grain here and then against the grain. What I'll do is slow it down just a bit here so I can show you that sinew, that connective tissue. I'm slicing away, and here it is right here. We won't be needing that. Once again, slice away and cut on a diagonal here. Now that looks gorgeous. So now we clean up real quick before we move on to our next step, which is to marinate our meat.
And your camera's still going?
Now going back to those greens I showed you earlier, here we're going to be using a teaspoon, and that's going to be a teaspoon and then some of some low sodium curcumin soy sauce. And using the same spoon, we're going to do the same exact thing with sesame seed oil. And next we have Shaoxing wine. And we're going to do 2 teaspoons of this Chinese essential ingredient. And trying that alone, by the way, it does say wine. It's not very good. It does say on the label for cooking only. So if you want to have some Shaoxing wine, you're going to have, I guess, the one that is marketed to drinking alone as an alcoholic beverage. The next bit we're adding here is cornstarch, and that was just a little over a teaspoon's worth. All right, and up for bat is the last ingredient, the baking soda. And this is important because baking soda helps tenderize the meat. And that there was about a teaspoon. Now just using a spoon, mix all that together. This next part is an important bit I'd like to emphasize and really just get your hands dirty here. You want to squeeze that beef chuck tender as much as possible. Doing so will relax the muscle fibers and will help get your beef that much more tender. After we've washed one broccoli crown, we're going to remove the main stem there. Basically, you want the broccoli small enough that when you combine the beef, some rice, and broccoli, you're able to fit it in your mouth with one bite. So bite size is the goal here. Alright, the last bit here before we fire up our burner is our sauce. So here we're using, again, the light sodium or low sodium Kikkoman soy sauce. This here is the Thai brand black soy sauce. And with the orange cap, I must emphasize, there are other bottles that look the same, so make sure that you buy the one with the orange cap. And here is some oyster sauce. And the last ingredient we're going to add is sugar. So we're shooting for a savory, sweet, and a little bit of salt. In my opinion, I think it's always good to taste all these different unique sauces from time to time, so you know what the flavor is like at its pure state before you mix it in with other ingredients. At last, let's fire up our burner to its highest, and this here is water. I didn't put too much water. We're just gonna steam up a little bit here our broccoli, and we're just gonna let that go for 1 minute. Let's set a lid over that. Our number one goal here is to let this go to the point where it becomes vibrant green. We want the end result to be cooked to the point where it's soft yet crunchy at the same time. So when we lift this lid, we will see that it is super vibrant green, exactly how we want it. Now that we got our wok reheated to that super high temperature, remember with the wok you want to make sure you're using a high flame. That's a cornstarch slurry, by the way. And that's 2 parts to 1, 2 parts water, 1 part cornstarch. I won't be using all of that. Going back to that oil, the avocado oil, that has a high smoking point. So you want to use an oil with a high smoking point, and especially for using a wok with high flame, that's the, I would say, recommended oil of choice. And here we are with our marinated beef chuck tender. Guys, if you don't get it right the first time, don't be discouraged. You know, you might get it right the second or third time. I remember that's pretty much where I'm at with a lot of the dishes that I make. Measurements are slightly off, and if that's the case because you want perfection, then you got to try and try again. So this dish is great though, very delicious and spot on, like what you would be served at an authentic Chinese American restaurant. So what we're doing here is obviously cooking off the meat, but once that red, the pink of the meat disappears, we want to add in our aromatics, which is our ginger and our garlic. And we really want to manage the heat here. We don't want to burn that garlic. So what I'm going to do here is lift the pan up as we're stirring that in and get those aromatics acquainted well with our meat, and just continue to stir all that in. And next what we're going to do is I've lowered that down slightly. Again, managing our heat. We don't want to burn that garlic. We're going to add in our lovely, luxurious sauce. So yummy. And pardon me here, I didn't have a rubber spatula, but I used my finger instead to get any of that remaining sauce out of the bowl. And look at that sauce. Wow. That's exactly how you want your sauce. Just like that, guys. The consistency, the quantity in there. When we added our broccoli, we're not trying to cook our broccoli here really. It's more just to mix in the flavors there with the meat and sauce. And we are just about done. And that's looking fantastic. Restaurant quality right there, guys. And here is our cornstarch slurry. In we go. I would say that's about maybe 2 tablespoons worth. And it's really all about eyeing it too, so don't add it all in. You don't want it to be too thick. I mean, that's the purpose of your slurry, is to thicken your sauce. We made it to the end, guys. Our classic restaurant quality Chinese American beef and broccoli. I hope you really tried this recipe, guys. If you do, tell me how you love it in the comments below. See you on the next one. Take care.